Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Today we will be covering President Trump pulling back an AI executive order at the last minute, new details on Anthropic's massive compute deal with xAI, Nvidia's blockbuster quarter, and Google DeepMind turning Street View into explorable AI worlds. Starting with Washington, President Trump abruptly postponed what was supposed to be a Thursday signing ceremony for an AI and cybersecurity executive order. The draft would have set up a voluntary framework for frontier AI developers, including Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google, to work with the federal government before releasing their most powerful models. It also would have directed federal agencies to use advanced AI to harden cybersecurity across government systems and critical sectors like banks and hospitals. So why the sudden pause? According to reporting from Reuters and Axios, the order got derailed by pushback from the so-called anti-doomer camp inside and around the administration, people who worry that any pre-release review process could slow U.S. labs down and hand an advantage to China. Trump himself told reporters, "I don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of that lead." That single quote really captures the tension. There are real cybersecurity concerns being raised about powerful systems, including Anthropic's Mythos model, but the political instinct right now is speed over guardrails. If the order eventually gets revived, it could formalize how Washington vets frontier models before they ship. If it gets watered down, the U.S. stays firmly in voluntary coordination territory rather than anything resembling mandatory licensing. Next up, we finally have a hard number on what frontier compute actually costs. TechCrunch dug into SpaceX's S-1 filing and reported that Anthropic will be paying xAI $1.25 billion per month, every month, through May 2029 for access to Colossus compute. There's a small discount for the first 2 months while xAI ramps capacity, and the total could bring xAI more than $40 billion in revenue. Anthropic is essentially buying 300 megawatts of compute, which is roughly the entire output of Colossus 1 near Memphis. The most revealing line came straight from SpaceX's filing, which said the deal allows us to monetize unused compute capacity. Read between the lines, and that means xAI built more infrastructure than Grok currently needs and is turning the spare capacity into a cloud business. So xAI is now wearing 3 hats at once. It's a model lab competing with Anthropic, it's a compute supplier to Anthropic, and it's increasingly an AI infrastructure company heading toward a public offering. Either side can walk with 90 days' notice, but the contract economics make clear just how scarce and expensive frontier-scale compute has become. Axios framed it as part of a broader AI order, where access to power and chips is now as strategically valuable as the models themselves. That brings us right to Nvidia, because someone is selling all those chips. Nvidia just reported a record quarter, $81.6 billion in revenue for the period ending April 26, up 85% year over year. The data center business alone brought in $75.2 billion, up 92% from a year earlier, and the company guided to roughly $91 billion next quarter, well above what Wall Street was expecting. The number to actually pay attention to here isn't the headline revenue, it's the mix. Networking gear pulled in nearly $15 billion on its own, which tells you AI infrastructure spending isn't just GPUs anymore, it's the entire cluster fabric, the cables, the switches, the systems that tie tens of thousands of chips together into a single training run. Jensen Huang summed up the quarter with one line: "Agentic AI has arrived, doing productive work, generating real value and scaling rapidly." Translation: hyperscalers and frontier labs are spending like this because agents, coding assistants, video models, and robotics workloads are actually moving into production. The Vera Rubin platform and Vera CPU that Nvidia highlighted are aimed squarely at that next wave of agentic workloads. Closing out with something genuinely fun from Google DeepMind. Google expanded Project Genie, its general-purpose world model, with a Street View grounding feature. Here's how it works. You tap a maps pin somewhere in the US, pick a style like Desert Sands, Stone Age, or Ocean World, describe a character, and Genie generates an interactive environment that uses the actual Street View imagery as its starting point. So you can walk around a stylized version of your own neighborhood, or any US street, as an AI-generated world. Google's product team says the goal is to let models anchor themselves in reality, and that's the real shift. World models have mostly lived in dreamlike, prompt-generated spaces. Tying one to actual Street View data, turns Google's enormous mapping corpus into a potential training ground for agents, robots, and simulations. Google noted Genie has already supported research on agents learning in complex virtual environments and helped Waymo simulate road conditions. That said, TechCrunch's hands-on was honest about the limits. The output looks recognizable, but, in their words, video game quality, and the physics aren't there yet. In one demo, the character just ran straight through cacti and bushes, so it's an impressive step toward grounded world models, but nobody is training a robot on this tomorrow. Access is rolling out gradually to Google AI Ultra subscribers, starting in the US and expanding globally over the coming weeks.
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.